Hi, my name is Aaron Siegel, and I'm going to be showing my final project for CS575, which is a sort of food and calorie tracker I'm calling EATTHIS. So first off, you can download it right here from Bitbucket, and then once you have it installed or cloned, you're going to need to install this set of dependencies to get it up and running. I know it's a bit of a longer list, but this is a set of tools I found that ended up making my build process quite enjoyable and sort of allowed for real-time updates. But basically what you end up doing is coming over here, typing gulp in your directory, and gulp is going to take care of the full build process. Go ahead and set up the whole project and then send it to localhost 8000 and set up your browser to go ahead and take a look at it. So I'm going to move it over here. And here's the application. It's a pretty straightforward single page web application. Basically how it works, you have a search bar up here. You can type in food, let's say pizza, and it's going to give you a big list of food items that match your input. So then you can pick the one you want to eat. So let's say Papa John's 14-inch, and you can see right here it has a calorie amount and a grams. So if I want to eat more than 10 grams, which is a very small amount of pizza, let's say maybe I'm going to eat 150 grams of pizza, we can see that's adding up to some calories right there. And then I can go ahead and press eat. And what it does is clear the food list, and it ends up down here in this eaten list. And then if I wanted to eat something else, let's try fish. You can see I get this list of other items that match fish. Now you can see in this case there's more colors, and basically depending on the caloric intake of each item or calories to gram, you get a different color where green and blue is healthier and red, orange, and yellow is less healthy, red being the least healthiest. So if I come over here and say I'm going to also eat some pink salmon here, do that and eat here. And you can see it shows up on the eaten list here. And so what's actually going on in the background is my application works with Firebase, which is part of Google, and basically they provide real-time JSON information. And so the first part, the big list of food with calories and description comes from this food set. And so the food set I preload the database with, and that comes from a JSON file that I parsed from nutritional information. Here's the JSON right here, or part of it, and you can see it's got about 1,500 lines or entries in it. And then that comes from this nutritional information the government makes available, and then I parse it in a JSON using Python. And then so I upload that to Firebase. So basically when you start the application, it goes to Firebase, gets all of that data down, and is hiding it in this list here. And then as you search, let's say ice cream, it will start throwing up results that match that, filtering the results basically. And then you can go pick one and add the amount you're going to eat and press eat. And what that does at that point is send that item back to Firebase, and you can see here it is, and it gets added in here. Firebase then responds to the application, letting it know that this eaten list has been updated, and then the application renders that new item in the list. So how all that's working is through React and JSX. That's all right here. And so basically, I really hadn't done a lot of web development before. And when I heard the discussion of React in class, I did a little bit more research, and it sounded like something I'd be interested in. And it's been really enjoyable to work with. I've really only had some small experience with web development, like I said, and I found it kind of frustrating. It was just vanilla JavaScript. But React was a very different experience because very quickly I was able to break up the different parts of the site into individual components in their own files, and then pass information back and forth and pass functions back and forth between each of them. So this is the core application. You can see we have a little HTML here, but then inside of it I'm able to put like a header object and a list object, which ends up being the list of food items, and then right here the eaten list, which is the items that were eaten. In each of those components I'm passing, this is a function right here on user input, and then this is some text, which is the text that is actually shown in the search bar. And then in the list itself, I'm setting the set of food items, and then also the filter text so that it knows what food items to actually show. And then I'm also passing a function for when it actually eats the food. So the list item itself, here's the code for that component, it does all the filtering right here. It's keeping track of when it gets data. It goes through all the items in the data and makes sure that it matches the filter text that it's been fed. And then based on that, it creates a list item and makes that part of its children. So then it doesn't actually decide how those things are displayed. That's handled by this component, the list item. And so the whole application can be broken down into those little chunks. And so as long as you pass the necessary data and the necessary functions to each of those components, they sort of just take care of themselves, and you can quickly swap something out and swap something in if you decide you want it to look a little different, or change the functionality of just one component without having it affect a bunch of the others. So I found that to be really enjoyable and interesting. Definitely was a cool project. Obviously it's fairly simple. I think the next thing I'd like to add is the ability to have multiple users, because right now there really is just the list of all the food items, which obviously users can share, but then there's really only one eaten list. And so what would obviously be the next step is to have an eaten list for every user, so that each user would be keeping an independent list versus just a big, massive, here's what everybody's eaten list. Luckily, Firebase makes it pretty easy to set up user accounts, which I can then check using React and JavaScript. So I can confirm that the user's logged in and authenticated properly, and then set up their own set of JSON data for what they've eaten. And so they have full control of what they add and what they remove and so on. So anyway, that's my project. And there's a full description of what you need to do install, and some discussion of how it's set up, and some diagrams and things like that in the submitted document. Thank you very much.